You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. We're glad to have you. My name's Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
So, and in deference to the Queen, we have taken a month off in mourning. Hope you were able to get through that traumatic time in our nation's history without us. Actually, we've been just traveling and some eventing and some
been
leaving the house
on the road.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. You started it all off.
Yeah. First thing was the Mothman Festival, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I think it was the 20th anniversary. After they had to cancel the last 2 years. I think it's been the 20. This was going to be the 20th anniversary 2 years ago. But this thing is enormous, ladies and gentlemen. I saw anywhere, but someone estimated about 15,000 people. I saw one place said could have been up to 25,000 people, like on a tiny little town in West Virginia, just descended for the whole weekend. It was insane. I did not get there early enough. I was still setting up the table. I was literally everything I laid on the table as I was unpacking the boxes. Is this for sale? Can I get one of these? Like, I made more sales before the table was ready than I've made it a normal show the whole weekend. Yeah, we had our new comics, Pro Comics, the Moth book, which was the reason for the success. People love the Moth tie-in story that we did, kind of a sci-fi reimagining, kind of a superhero, supernatural mashup between an old public domain hero from the 40s and the myth of the Mothman in Point Pleasant. So that's actually, you can get the primer issue right now at soprocomics.com. And it has a flip cover. You get both covers.
Both
Imagine
covers.
That. 2 covers on the same book, and you get them for $5.99.
You don't even have to specify when you order it.
Nope. You get them both, because that's just how it works.
I thought there was going to be a variant or something.
I've not heard anything about that. Legally speaking, my lawyer advised me to not say that.
Oh, but I wanted the homage cover.
And you got to look at it. You got to read that side upside down. Now, it was a fun time. A million people. Everything to do there. Had a line 3 blocks long. It was crazy busy. And Sunday wasn't much slower. Normally, Saturday on something like that is a huge day, and then Sunday's a lot less. Sunday was more manageable, but it still had a ton of people. So if you're into that stuff, it had, you could go tour the museum. You could go, they had hay rides out to the TNT area where all this stuff happened. They had speakers there. They had tons and tons of vendors selling books and art and all kind of stuff. So it is quite a weekend, and it has grown exponentially. And it was our best show we've ever had by a factor of about 10. So,
just got to work on that parking situation.
Yeah, so it has less parking than Marietta, and drops a whole metropolitan city. Just wants to come join for a weekend.
Bring a dolly with you.
Right.
You got to haul all that merch away. So yeah, that's really good. I'm glad you guys did well. It maybe next year Michael can go too, and you guys will even double your profits of this year's show.
I'm getting there at 6 a.m. next year.
Yeah, you said you had to drive both days because you couldn't find a hotel anywhere near.
Well, it's just not worth. The nearest hotels are like, try to stay in Athens or Wheeling or not Charleston or something. For people coming halfway across country, that makes sense. But it's just an hour drive. No big.
Right. No reason to stay another hour away.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, then after that, we Jordan and I took a day, went to the Cincinnati Comic Expo. My first time to that event. So it was a lot of fun. Big show. Lots of celebrities. But the main reason we went was so that we could see or meet Larry Hama from G.I. Joe. That was our big goal. First thing we did as soon as we got there.
No prison can hold Cobra. Is there a prison big enough, strong enough to hold the Cobra Commander? He's the enemy. He's escaping. He's the enemy of G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe. Mighty Cobra and Destro.
Our new team is ready, Commander.
No, Destro, not quite.
What does Cobra Commander mean? Find out in the further adventures of G.I. Joe from Marvel Comics.
Friend of the show, Larry.
Friend of the show, Larry Hama. So we
didn't recognize him.
No, I was surprised too. I was surprised.
They ask about
when I mentioned he said, "Well, where are you from?" I said, "Marietta, Ohio," and he said, "Georgia," and I said, "No, Ohio." So then he
so yeah, that was my I like cons. I don't want to look around, but he was the main reason I went. The main reason I would go to a con that far away is because I wanted to meet Larry Hama. So yeah, that's the first thing we did going through the door. Like, okay, before the line forms, and there was always people at his table, but he never really had a line. Of course, no. Chris Claremont was catty corner from him, and he had a line.
Yeah, always.
As we know, he's a very slow signer, Mr. Claremont. So he had the longest line all day. So I think there was one guy standing there when we got there.
Yeah, there was only a couple people around when we walked up there. So
here I brought 5 books with me, and I only got 4 signed by the time things were all said and done. So
Jordan? Yeah, that's it. Jordan.
Yeah. I pull out my G.I. Joe number 3, and I just lay it down there. I was like, I try to I don't know, this is like the unspoken thing. Like, I need them to realize, like, I'm not like all these other people, right? Like, right. You're going to say 1,000
totally
people
different.
today, but, this means, this is important. I get you, Larry. I get you. So I try, this is the first comic I ever owned. I've read 1,000 times, I'm not there to flip this on eBay. I'm not there for any of that nonsense. So, I want him to understand this is meaningful to me. He doesn't look up from his signature. Okay.
Probably the first comic book I ever owned, starting me in a lifetime of
There you go. You gotta let it dry a bit.
If I get personalized. And so on the website it said personalized autographs are free.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't specify quantity or anything, but if you got issue 1 or 21 signed, there was a premium, which those are the comics most people would resell or whatever. That makes sense. Fine. Okay, so no emotional reaction to this being important to me. So then I dropped down the Wolverine issue, part of my favorite covers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Signs it, no comment. I had another one of the more modern ones. I already had the artist's signature, so I just got his signature on that one. Okay. So after the second one, he goes, now after 2, there will be a premium on these. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll pay.
Yeah. I'm
being greedy. I'm getting 4 comics. That's when I put the 5th one back in my bag. I'm like, okay, I'll just get.
Oh, not a problem. Let me put it as well.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I hand him this one. This was a variant cover of G.I. Joe 0. It had 3 different short stories when they relaunched it at one point, and had the G.I. Joe book, the Cobra book, and G.I. Joe Origins or something. So it had 3 stories from 3 creative teams. And he looks at it for a minute. He's like, I didn't do this one.
After he signed it. He signed it, and then he goes, I didn't do this.
Signing it. He's like, I didn't do this. He kind of flipped through it a second, didn't recognize it. It was like, I didn't do this one. I was like, Larry, do you really think I'd bring you a book? Like, do you know how mortified I would be to hand you a book that you didn't do? Like, you don't know me at all, Larry.
Did we not just talk about this G.I. Joe 3? We go way back.
I was like, oh, that's the Zero. I was like, that's just the variant cover of the Zero issue. I just really like that cover. And like, he'd already got finished. Like, he didn't care. He didn't care that he didn't do it.
Nope.
That's because on it. Whatever.
He's like, look at this guy bringing this stuff over here.
I'm not feeling great about this whole interaction. I've muffed it all. I needed a rehearsal with Nathan Fielder. I should have practiced this before I got there. So we get post-road picture. He's nice enough. Cliff snaps our picture. I step out of the way. Cliff steps up. G.I. Joe 21, the one with the premium, right? And Larry says, this is one of the premiums.
Yeah. And I say, no problem.
Nah, don't worry about it. And he didn't charge Cliff the money.
He just signed it.
What is that? Why? He charged me.
He had your money.
I made a fool of myself somehow in his eyes. But Cliff just skated by, got a free signature.
He's like, yeah, he looked at Cliff's. He's like, yeah, I did this one. Yeah.
That's what it was.
This guy knows the actual stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So
I left that table in a little bit of a daze. Like, that didn't go how I wanted to. But the day ended on a high note. He had a panel at 1 p.m., which Cliff had to remind him to go to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so after we got our stuff signed with Larry Hama, we went through and, just through the con and kind of split up there for a little while, and then we met back up for lunch. And well, right before that, I had Brandon. I was going through some old G.I. Joe comics in one of the vendors, and I picked one up. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna press my luck here. I'm gonna find one I like here, and even if I have to pay a little bit more for it, and have him sign it, because he was just sitting around doing sketches. He didn't have anybody in his table I could see him. So I went back and I ended up having this whole conversation with Larry Hama about some ex-girlfriend from the late 70s he had in Columbus, Ohio, after he figured out that we were from Ohio, not Georgia. And we had this weird conversation about how Columbus, and it was the most plain city, most common city in the United States, and that's where they tested out all this techie stuff back in the day. I was like, okay, great. Sounds great. And I said, now you're doing a panel today, right? And he's like, oh, yeah. And then he kind of looked at it. He goes, oh, it's in about 40 minutes. He goes, thanks for reminding me. So we went to this panel, and the panel was really good. It was a lot of fun. There couldn't have been more than, I don't know, maybe 20 people. 25 people in the whole thing with us. So it was more or less just him up there telling stories and talking. I don't know what the panel was even originally supposed to be about, but
I think it just said a Larry Hama Q&A. It was just open, to whatever.
Yeah. But it was neat and interesting, and he dropped a lot of names there, and
his career is like, I apprenticed under Wally Wood and worked in a studio with Neil Adams and met Frank Miller when he was 18. Like, he's been around, everyone in the industry for 50 years. So.
Right. And at one point, towards the end of the panel, he made a comment about people, handing him stuff and that he didn't do for him to sign. So we got to wait.
Is there anything? Somebody asked me, like, is there something under the radar that people don't ever ask you about? And he's like, I don't even remember the stuff I did, or half the time I don't even remember if I did it or not. So like, I know that firsthand.
Yeah, we got a laugh out of that. So, but it was good. It was real good. I had a lot of fun. There were a lot of vendors out there. Pretty good variety. Pretty good mix of different things. I felt like the show was so big I didn't even see it all. Like, I made a couple rounds through it, but it was just, there were booths everywhere and tons of people, as you're trying to snake through them. And
again, on a Sunday, we went on Sunday, which should have been the more casual day, but it was, I would walk, okay, I'm going to go up this aisle and back down the other side. And it's like, I get halfway and like, I can't even get up this aisle. So I'll go that way and then come back around. So I don't know if I got to every nook and cranny or not. I doubt it.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, it was good. I don't know. Is there anything else that I missed that happened?
Well, I ended the day. So they asked if there were any questions during the panel, and nobody raised their hand, so they just went on talking. I was like, I should ask a question. I was like, I need to redeem myself after this awkward thing. So a guy asked the question. So at the end, they're like, we got time for one more question. So I raised my hand. I was like, and I said, I just wanted to congratulate you on 300 issues of G.I. Joe. And there was a smattering of applause. I was like, I got an applause line. All right. And I said, you've done almost as many at IDW as you did at Marvel. I was like, what was the original plan? I was like, was there a set number of issues you were supposed to do, or was it this open-ended? And he talked about how much he loved working for IDW, and that it was, they never told him what he could or couldn't do. He wasn't trying to push the envelope, but they just left him alone until whatever kind of story he wanted, and he appreciated that, so he just kept doing it. And then he said he had just finished the script for 301.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, a little bit of news, because they haven't even announced who has the rights now to G.I. Joe. It's leaving IDW.
Right.
So I don't know that anyone even knows that there's going to be a 301, but he's written it already. So
he's ready. We were the first to know. So,
quick
good
trip.
day.
Quick trip up and back. Couple good anecdotes out of it, and some autographs. Got those Batman the Animated Series folks on a poster.
Yeah, Jordan got
cool.
a bunch of stuff signed. I did not.
I dropped more money than I wanted to. I think I described it as I spent a reckless amount of money, as I think how I described it. But you only live once, so
right. Yeah, Jordan had made the
that
comment.
money gonna keep you warm when you're old. A poster is.
He made the comment as we were coming into town about the amount of money he had on him, and when it was time to leave, he said, I can fold my wallet in half again. I think it's time to leave.
Because I was getting ready the night before, and I had all this change from Mothman Festival, so most of my cash was 5s and 10s, and I tried to, my wallet literally fold. I was like, all right, I've never had this problem before. Yeah. The adventure continued. I remedied the problem real quick.
Cliff, do you still use a wallet like that, a folding wallet?
I do. I still have a regular traditional. Now mine is it's I don't know how to describe it. It's a little larger, so it flattens out more than like I've had some wallets that, especially if you've ever had one of those trifold ones, it's like a meatball in your back pocket. It's terrible. So I've got one now that's a little bit larger, so it folds flatter, and it's not as uncomfortable. But yeah. So
I've always, for the past 15 years, I bet I've just carried a one thing, just whatever. It doesn't fold. It's just one little rectangle that I put in my front pocket with my cards in it, and it's so much easier to sit down. And
I think that's my issue.
Occasionally, I have a few dollars in my pocket, but if I have to carry, some cash, I have a money clip that I'll get out of the drawer. But usually, I just have cards in a little nothing wallet. It's very freeing, and I never have to worry about anybody trying to grab it out of my pocket because it's in my front pocket.
Yeah, see, I think that's what, I don't know if I could get used to that being in my front pocket.
Oh, it's so great.
It's just always been, just right there. And I don't know, mentally.
It's just a thorn when you sit down.
Well,
that thing in your back pocket.
It's a weird, I'm constantly like, I check keys, phone, pocket, wallet back here. I do that all the time. And if something is not where it's supposed to be, I kind of panic a little bit, It's just like a weird habit I have now. But I constantly, even when I'm out in public, I'm like, keys, phone, wallet. Okay, I'm good. But yeah, it's weird. So
I'm trying to emasculate the wallet industry.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's what Fox News would. The headline would be that I'm taking away men's wallets from their back pockets. But
yeah, the last little thing I would say is we had a little experience at a Red Robin. Jordan and I did. It's one of the strangest dining experiences I've had lately, or for a while. And we stopped at a Red Robin because we were feeling good, get something to eat, and they sat us at this tiny little table.
Well, first they told us it'd be 20 minutes to a half hour.
The parking lot was empty.
It's like, we're tired of looking, we're tired of driving around, but we're just gonna sit here and wait. The place was half empty. There were literally 30 empty tables, and they made us wait 15, 20 minutes.
And then when they did,
automatically we're a little bit off our game here.
Yeah, they put us at this tiny little table. We probably waited 10 minutes waiting on somebody to come over, and then the waitress was fighting over whether or not it was her table or not. And then they could not take our order because the little digital machine on the table, I don't know what the problem was there. Somebody hadn't paid before us or what. They ended up moving us to another table. I don't know why they just couldn't switch the little machine out, but whatever. They put us at a normal size table, and the food was really good once we got our food, but we had kind of a strange server. And
and I didn't understand. The server was this weird middleman between the robots and the kitchen. We're like, our server didn't service anything.
No,
we asked, hey, can we get a refill and some napkins? And she had to type it into a computer, and then somebody else came out of the kitchen and brought the refills and the napkins.
A different person every time.
Yeah, so I don't quite get. Why can't we just push the button and cut you out of time?
Right. So then
self-checkout.
Yeah.
Pretty much. She came over and we're like, brought her checks over, and we're like, yeah, we're ready. And they just expected us to, pay with a card, which neither one of us was going to do. We both had cash.
They didn't hear the wallet stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys both fucking whip them out.
Should have seen her face. Yeah. Yeah, no. My bill was like $17. So I was like, can we pay in cash? She goes, yeah, sure, right here. I'll take it. Hand her a $20 bill. She takes it. Doesn't attempt to make change. Just looks at me. And she's like, oh, do you want change? And I'm like, no, just keep it. If it's going to be that way, I don't
split it with the robot.
There's going to be 5 other people that have to come out and give me each dollar bill back. I don't want to. I've spent enough time here. And then I made the mistake of asking for a Coke to go, and she just stood there and stared at me. And I literally said, "Are you gonna go get it?" And she goes, "Oh, no. And she said something about, we have people that do that or something like that. She was paying them to do that for her. I don't know.
My people have people.
Yeah, I don't know the logistics in the restaurant business, but yeah, somebody else came out and brought Coke to go. So that was it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Seth, you got out to a concert, didn't you?
I was just thinking about where we ate beforehand. We ate at some, I don't even know what it was, some fucking restaurant. But we walk in and there's like a bunch of people standing in the lobby, and they said it's going to be 45 minutes. And it looked like there was no one in the restaurant.
That's how they get you.
And Nick's like, it's 45 minutes. It's like, no, it isn't. I was like, we're sitting in the bar. We went up, walked up, and just got a table in the bar. Like, Just like all these suckers standing out there waiting for a different table. But that's my restaurant story. Then yeah, I went to this was the 9 Inch Nails concert, Hall of Fame concert they were going to do a couple years ago, and they was all centered around this final show at Blossom in Cleveland, and it's freaking great. They they were at the Hall of Fame the day before and had like most of the previous members over the years, touring guitarists and things like that. Yeah, the one guy, I think there was some tension. I think Trent had told the one guy, Richard Patrick, to when he left the band in like '89, he's like, "What am I gonna do?" He's like, "Go deliver pizzas, whatever." Well, that guy went on to start Filter, and their big song was "Hey Man, Nice Shot." But he anyway, I didn't put two and two together. When we were at the concert, which was phenomenal, it was great, we're having a great time. And then the last 5 songs or so, they played a tour debut of Eraser, probably one of my favorite 9 Inch Nails songs. And then they started bringing, you could see the camera on the guys in the backstage. They had all these old members there, and they brought them out one at a time. They ended with him, and he came out right as where the lyrics would start, well into the song, and he sings them. This Richard Patrick, which, if you don't know, he is the brother of the T-1000, Robert Patrick. So he got out there and sang, and then they played "Hey Man, Nice Shot" with 9 Inch Nails as the band, and that's never happened and probably never happened again. And so it was a great concert. It was great. Nick said it was probably his best concert he's ever been to, which is good. And
so this was making up to him. He said he thought he was a little young the last time.
Yeah, he was 14.
And then regretted it.
Yeah, he was 14. I think I went in 2013 to see 9 Inch, and he was 14 at the time. And I just, it's like, I don't know. I wish I had just ended up taking him back then, but yeah, but I made it up to him. So that was good. I saw today they sent me something selling like commemorative things from that concert. I was like, I was there. I remember. I don't need a poster that said I was there. I'll remember. Yep, that was a good trip. Good times. Drove by some scary ass Halloween decorations in people's yards in late September. Bunch of freaking dolls and bloody things. Fucking dolls tied to the mailboxes. Bloody Elmos and all kinds of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, you should go back Christmas time and see what they did.
Oh, yeah, I should.
All right, so that's our many adventures across the great state of Ohio. So why don't we talk what we've been watching lately? Should we start on Disney Plus? Had a couple big launches over on Disney Plus, yes?
Always.
That's good.
To steal from the Empire? To just walk in like you belong? They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine that someone like me would ever get inside their house. Cassian Andor. The Empire is choking us so slowly. We're starting not to notice. What I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real? I need all the heroes I can get.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
With Andor, Star Wars.
With all the Ewoks?
Andor.
I wish.
I was trying to get you. Yeah, you're all hyped to talk about Andor, and then I mentioned the Ewoks. You're missing out on Endor.
Oh man,
Now
when's that coming out?
So as we speak, we've had 5 episodes. I'm not sure how long. I don't know what the total number is going to be at the end.
You know, I meant to look the other day, and I forgot.
Well,
so we spoilers for Andor. At least the first 5 episodes. There's not a lot of. I don't have a ton of notes. There's not a lot of plot heavy stuff to get through. There's not a lot of cameos to talk about. Like, it's been a pretty simple story. That's not a criticism. For
it
me.
runs to Thanksgiving. It's like 12 episodes.
Okay.
Oh wow,
that's good. We're seeing the, you know, the dark times, the kind of the kind of boring day-to-day stuff, a lot of it of the Empire, you know, just running it, and you know how they're sure big, bad, and evil, but
so before there's a full-on rebellion.
Yeah. And it's a lot of it's not just Empire. Some of it's just like corporation armies. Like, they're not real clear on that. Those aren't just all Imperial groups of guards and stuff. I think it's more like the corporate.
Their corporate security, yeah, forces, which is an interesting thing because it makes sense on some of these. You know, you would imagine some of these planets that are not in the central part of the galaxy. They're on the outer, you know, mid to outer rim, and rather than, you know, while the Empire is still growing and sieging power, that they would use things like corporations to do part of their dirty work, you know, like subcontract them out almost.
So yeah, this story is not lightsabers and force wizards and space battles. This is more day-to-day kind of it's a side of Star Wars I haven't seen before. You know, day-to-day life on a couple different planets. There's a very urban, you know, Coruscant. We get some, you know, some of the wheeling and dealing there. We get, you know, some of the, you know, this out of the way garrison that the Empire has. So it's just kind of a street level view of Star Wars rather than, you know, the war parts that we used to
right.
do.
And a great, you know, I really like Rogue One. Even if it wasn't the final product of that movie wasn't what it was originally supposed to be, or whatever the original script was, I still really liked parts of that movie. And taking a character like Cassian Andor that was, you know, just had one movie, and kind of developing him, and we're seeing his history and how, you know, he came up through it and became a spy and a you know, a name in the rebellion. It's interesting. There's a lot of characters. A couple of those first episodes I had to watch twice to just kind of get a better feel of who was who and what their place was. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Without giving too much away about it, I'm thankful that it's going to be 12 episodes or whatever, because I feel like there's a lot of story to tell still, and we're just kind of getting to the really good part right now. So
I get that does make sense. I saw somebody say they're basically like 3-episode arcs, like they dropped the first 3 on the first day it debuted.
Right.
So this we've had 2 episodes of build up to this robbery of the garrison. So if we do that next episode, that'll be a 3 episode. So like, I guess it seems to be the structure of the thing.
And eventually they're gonna have to skip ahead.
Yeah.
I listened to an interview with Tony Gilroy, who was the guy that saved Rogue One and came in and fixed that stuff at the end and is writing all of this. And he's really good. They're so lucky to have him attached to this and like running it, and he's just he gives it that, like all of this latest episode, just that it just feels so much more real and than anything I've watched of Star Wars in the last few years. I mean, I like Mandalorian stuff, but it's all jokey. It's always got the jokey stuff, which is Star Wars. But I like this Star Wars too. Like this, very, very serious. Everything's serious, you know. And every character in this group of, you know, has some meat on their bones. You know, it's got a good, and they slowly are peeling back layers of people and making them real characters.
Yeah.
And like we get Mon Mothma, but that doesn't feel like hey, I recognize her. Like it's not just a reference. It feels like, you know, an important character.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and like you said, I think it's how each character comes about and plays a part, and because it's a pretty big story, I think in the end it will be, but taking, you know, people from Coruscant, the big city, those characters and how they're, you know, funding the rebellion onto these, you know, these vast far off planets that are being mined for their resources as the Empire does, and then the Empire will move on. But these, you know, these farmers or these dirt people that are, you know, taking up arms, trying to just win one little victory at a time, trying to gather information, trying to, you know, to play their part in the rebellion, and how each of those characters kind of, they interact and run into each other. It's an interesting thing. I really like it. I really do. So far. So it's a lot less starships and space battles and a lot more politics.
Easter eggs.
Yeah. A lot of Easter eggs.
I'm a lot less. Yeah. I like the, just clean, gritty, slow pace, small stakes, small little things that build up to bigger things, and it's like that. I'm really liking it.
I like the droid with the missing parts and stuttering, like the old, you know,
the
droid that's past its prime.
He has anxiety.
I like the Mothma, you know, the strain, you know, seeing her relationship with Mr. Mothma, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
That's Dad Mothma.
Mr. Man
She's
Mothma.
Mom Mothma.
She's
Mom
she's
Dad
Mon
Mothma.
Mothma. He's Man Mothma.
The one scene though in this latest episode, I feel like I've seen it multiple times in movies, is like parents gonna try to connect with the kid and do something, and oh no, you never did anything, just don't worry about it, but you're off the hook. I was like, gosh, this seems so I've seen this a million times. That scene kind of annoyed me, but I really like her. I really like that actress. Like she's
we're getting the complication of, you know, in this very public role, how does she help the rebellion, like, you know, without endangering herself? And then her idiot husband who's just like, yeah, I'm not really into politics. That's everyone who says, you know, someone with the privilege to not have to worry, you know, the stakes don't matter to him. That's like anyone who says, I don't follow politics, it's not important. Yeah, because it's not impacting you directly. Like that was a good little moment there between them.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing they've done, you know, when you see those scenes, you know, in the art gallery or whatever, and everything's so clean and pristine. You know, the car or the speeders they're driving around look like, you know, immaculate.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I love that I love that her vehicle is just like this, you know,
sleek.
Yeah. She's like in the she a rich bitch. I love that.
And then
we don't get a lot of that in the movies. We get the rusty old spaceships. You have to bang on the the sides to get to work, like, which I love about Star Wars, the lived in retro universe of it all.
Yeah.
And so I it's cool to see the opposite side.
Yeah, it was that
and the
nice
very sterile Empire. Everything's just white and gray and
yeah. And then we have this whole set of characters that are literally living in huts down on the planet, conspiring, trying to stay unnoticed and hide their guns and weapons from the TIE fighters flying by.
So when you see a freaking TIE fighter, it's a big deal. Like there's when that TIE fighter came tearing across there, I was like, that was awesome. Like just the little bits of it make it feel so real and lived in. Like you could be, you're just these people living in the dirt in your huts, and like this technology is just up there. It's always there. It's like coming by to put the thumb down on you,
and
you can't combat that.
I think we're going to get another one of those space monorail trains like in Solo too. So in that part of the
I thought that's the first thing I thought. I was like, this is, didn't we do this? Didn't we do a train?
Okay, we're going to bring this back. All right, sure. So they're going to take it off the rails this time. But yeah, it's a good show.
Like that you can eat your Trick cereal with blue milk. That's a good,
that's
any corner of the Empire, you can still get a healthy breakfast.
Oh.
Yeah, I could see. So yeah, I could see Star Wars fans not liking it if you're not into the day-to-day stuff and you want to just see Jedi's fight Sith. That's a valid opinion, but I could see fans really digging into the lore of all this, and like we're getting the very nitty-gritty. What the prequels did wrong about Imperial trade routes and all the stuff that was just not interesting.
Well,
I feel like this show's doing much better.
That's interesting because as you say that, I hear George Lucas, always saying, well, he made it for 12-year-olds, but yet I feel like this is like more adult Star Wars because like, hey, they said shit. There's a guy that says, oh shit. Like this has to be for adults in Star Wars.
Yeah, kids aren't going to like this. No, a guy at work was like, we sat down to watch it. My daughter was like, this is boring. Like,
well, don't you see the piping on his uniform? Look how
right.
that is.
Right, exactly.
Didn't they even say that? They even said piping.
Like, he added his own piping. Like, that's my kind of office. Takes pride in the uniform.
That's right.
I like that. I like that they're still focused on that character. Like, where it's ultimately going to, they're going to obviously come back around together at some point.
Yeah, and that guy, okay, he's the villain, right? But what has he done villainously? Like, he's trying to solve a murder. Like, he's trying to do his job and get to the bottom of this crime.
He might end up being a in the rebellion at the end, for all we know.
That's what I keep waiting on.
I want to see the rebel uniform. Yeah.
Oh man.
Can you imagine? He's like, wait, just let me rip this piping off my old uniform. Put it on this tunic.
You'll have the shiniest X-Wing pilot.
They're like, you can't be out here. Hide him under the tarp.
Yeah.
TIE fighters love piping. They can zero right in on piping.
They'll see it every time.
Ugh.
Yeah, they're gonna retcon it so he's like at the Battle of Endor or something. Is like one guy in the camo with like shiny piping all over his
He'll have the cleanest uniform there. Yeah. He was there the whole time.
Fun stuff.
So, speaking of adult themes, you guys all caught up on She-Hulk?
Yeah.
We still loving it?
Got the ketchup and mustard suit for Daredevil.
This show's only 9 episodes. So we are at episode 8 as we record. So we've only got one left to go this first season. Yeah,
we are exciting.
Yeah. No,
I'll just do the episode.
Okay, go through it.
All right. So again, spoilers for She-Hulk. We're going to talk plot points. So episode 5 was the Titania copyright case, where Titania was using the name brand She-Hulk to sell makeup and nonsense. And we had to bring all her, Jen's all her old bad dates back as witnesses in the courtroom. So a parade of these losers she went out with. We tying in an earlier episode to make it make sense later. We met Luke, the costume designer they call the Drip Broker, who makes all these fancy suits for heroes, and is a bit much. He's a bit extra. And then at the end of that one, we saw the Daredevil helmet sitting there waiting to be picked up. So that was episode 5.
Okay.
We knew Daredevil was involved in some way, and they made us wait.
We thought it was.
Made us wait.
Thought it was D-Man.
We hoped it was D-Man. D-Man could still appear at some point. We don't know. We got an episode left.
Never give up.
All right, so episode 6 was the wedding, which she called a self-contained wedding episode. She's like, I know it's inconvenient, but so are all weddings, which, yes, that's clever. So, yeah, we had just teased Daredevil. It's like, nope, we're going to stop and go do a separate wedding episode. So we introduced Mr. Immortal on that one as kind of the B story, with the lawyer still back, at the office, going through his divorce case. He's from the Great Lakes Avengers. His character, every time he dies, he comes back to life, so he is immortal. Went out the window. I thought I was watching Riverdale when he did that.
I thought of that
swan
too.
Dive. He did that swan dive right out the window.
It's like, hey, I've seen this before.
That was good stuff. Titania was at the wedding. They had a fight there. And we learn about the Intelligentsia, the website for hateful man babies, where all the online hate and death threats are coming online. So Intelligentsia, that's a Marvel thing. It was a team of all the smart bad guys, so like Dr. Doom and MODOK and the Leader and all these
super
Hulk
smart
villains.
Yeah.
Genius Hulk villains all got together to be the Intelligentsia. So obviously it's going to be something different here. And these last two, there were no post credits for the last two. So the first 4 episodes, they set us up expecting these post credits scenes, and then they just stopped doing it.
They just want to watch me fast forward through the end credits every week.
How dare they? So episode 7, this dude Josh that she met at the wedding. There's a dating montage of them getting to know each other. But she gets called away, and the majority of the episode is at Emil Blonsky's retreat, where he's trying to help this team of super weirdos, including Man-Bull, who was a weird lab experiment, don't ask, and El Aguila, who is not a matador. And they are possibly codependent. They're still trying to work that out. Then we had the Porcupine and Saracen, who might be a vampire, who I'd never heard of before. But one of the books I bought at the con, I was flipping through and I saw some reference to Saracen. I was like, holy cow, how did I pick the one book this dude is appearing in? It was like a Punisher book, too. I don't know why the Punisher was worried about a vampire, but hey, whatever. And then the Wrecker was there. So one of these dudes that Jen had fought earlier with the enchanted weapons was also there. But they decided, to try to work through their issues, and Jen joined the group therapy. They talked through things and got to trying to heal each other. So when she finally got to leave, Oh, because her car got damaged and she couldn't leave was the idea. They damaged her car. The tow truck was from Slott Towing Company, who Dan Slott wrote A Long Run on She-Hulk, early 2000s. So there's a little Easter egg for you. So when she gets back, we learn that Josh is not a good date. He's a bad Josh. He is actually the Hulk King, who was his avatar on the Intelligentsia website. And he stole her blood and cloned her phone and then ghosted her. Bad Josh. Don't trust anyone named Josh.
Never have.
Nope. All right, so the last one we have seen was episode 8. And we got Leapfrog, who's a good comedic villain to bring in, sometimes hero. So they are suing this guy Luke, who made a faulty outfit, they say. And we see opposing who is the opposing counsel? None other than Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox returning to the role of Daredevil. Jen looks at the camera and says, "Who's this a-hole?" Which I just loved it. That's great. Everyone's waiting for Daredevil, and she's not having. They get into a fight at some point. Obviously, the heroes have to fight first before they team up. She makes fun of his ketchup and mustard color scheme and wins the court case. So the guy goes from trying to be a hero to being a villain, and he kidnaps Luke, wants him to make a new outfit for him. Both Jen and Matt end up at the same place to rescue him. We almost get another Daredevil hallway fight.
Almost.
They set it up perfectly. We're going to have a hallway fight. Oh, no, Jen interrupted it. Again, subverting what we think the fans want to, thumb our nose a little bit. She goes, She-Hulk smash. There's chemistry there. They end up hooking up. Matt ends up walking home with a walk of shame. And you think the episode's over, but it's not. There's something tacked on. There's a scene tacked on, and she's worried that there's going to be a big twist coming in because it's so weird to tack on.
I really thought they did that well. They had, what we thought the story would be wrapped up there. Yeah. And then she, her breaking that fourth wall again and talking about what, is something else going to happen? Is there going to be a twist? What's going on? Is there
going to be a Red Hulk? Am I going to get fridged? What's going to happen? So we get to the female lawyer of the year awards, which is ridiculous. And she gets, doxed or whatever. They reveal her, the contents of her phone. Josh filmed their encounter, and she starts losing her cool. And, is she going to play into the hands of the intelligentsia that she is a dangerous foe or not? So we got one episode left. We don't know how it's going to end, but I don't know. I'm still enjoying it for those little half-hour slices. I'm not taking it very seriously. I'm not expecting, a masterpiece of cinema or anything. It's just a fun sitcom.
Yeah, that's exactly what it has been up until this episode, at least the last few minutes of it. And because I was really digging it. I was excited. Daredevil was back, and he was in a suit and fighting along with her and doing Daredevil stuff. And then, suddenly it took a turn there in the last few minutes, and I thought, wow, that's a really interesting way to go with it, to the big bad ends up just being a revenge porn story. And how they did it with She-Hulk, and the female character there's no real correct way for her to handle this, because if she goes ballistic, then, like you said, she plays right into it, and, it's her fault. But if she does the opposite, it's still her fault, and she gets, shamed for it either way. So, yeah, I thought it was a very modern take, interesting way to go with and I'm, kind of sad that there's only one more episode left. Because I feel like there could be a lot more. We're just now getting to the to the good stuff, to the the big villains of the show. We don't even know who it is yet. So really, we just see guys in masks.
Yeah, I rewatched was Incredible Hulk, whatever the 2008 one was, and that has the Abomination in it, who's barely a character. He's just a mercenary, then gets turned into the monster. And then it has the Thinker, who is only in it for a few minutes. That's the guy from what's his name?
Tim
Blake Nelson. So they tease that character does exist in the Marvel universe, and that's a lot of people assume this Intelligentsia was him, but it's like that's a lot to throw into one episode. Episode. That is if that's it.
Well,
it's weird. I think you can drop pretty much any character from Marvel into this show, and it's fine. But I'm wondering how we take Jen out of this show and put her in. Was she going to appear in some Avengers movie or somebody else's show? Like, it's going to be a strange tonal shift to have her outside of this universe. I don't know.
True.
And they have confirmed Timothy Blake Nelson to come back as the leader, right?
I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure I saw that.
I'm sure I've heard that, but I don't know whether that was.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's very true though. Like how do you pluck her into a normal Marvel MCU movie or whatever without breaking the fourth wall and doing all this crazy, I don't know.
They need to do a She-Hulk and Hawkeye miniseries. I think they'd be a good match.
I'd be down for that.
I don't know that they've done any of these series wrong so far. So whatever they want to do, I'm on board for at this point.
Anything else on the D+? I saw Werewolf by Night drop today. None of us have had a chance to check that out yet. That is the quote Marvel Studios special presentation. It's just they're calling it a movie, or I don't know what, a made-for-TV movie. I don't know what they're calling it, but it's just a standalone single thing. So I'm very curious to check that out during the Halloween season.
No, I don't know that I've watched anything else on Disney Plus. Mighty Ducks is back, but I haven't checked it out yet, so no more Emilio. They've dropped in Josh Duhamel. So, but I'm sure I'll watch it.
All right, then. So that will do it for this episode of KPP. Thank you for listening. Check out our Patreon, and we will be back soon with more television that's a month old. Yay! My name's Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
South, bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast at gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.